Good morning. Happy Wednesday. I have to look down at my phone to make sure I am saying the right day of the week. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I have some information to share about unemployment benefit fraud and some tax info. I will wait a few minutes and give people a chance to join me while I pull my notes. Okay. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Oh my goodness. Hold on. My voices. Somebody got to give me some kind of natural remedy to help me with my throat. I can't get it together. Good morning, good morning. I know somebody on here have some type of natural remedy that I can use to clear my throat from being so scratchy. Hey, Renee. I love seeing that EA behind your name. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Be thankful that you passed all 3 parts of the exam last year because everything is about to change, Renee. Good morning, everyone. Let me know if you can hear me. I know you can see me because I can see me, but before I get started, let me know that you can hear me okay. My throat is my mic connected? My mic is connected, so let me know if you all can hear me. My throat is very scratchy, so please excuse my voice. I wanted to share, first off, let me share with you all that today is real heavy for me because when I look through my memories, February is just heavy for me anyway, because this is the month that my mom had the surgery to remove her cancer. And actually, today is actually the day that my mom had the surgery to remove her cancer. It was a long 8-hour surgery. I can remember, I think I got up. I got up. I couldn't even sleep, first off. I had been up since like 2 something that morning praying 6 years ago today, praying, wishing I had my grandmother. It was just heavy. It was hard. I did not know how I was going to get through the day. But my family, they always show up and show out. When I tell you we were 50 plus deep, not just show your face, say a prayer, and hope everything is going to be okay. My family showed up at Emory Hospital and waited the entire 8+ hours. It ended up being a little over 8 hours because they ran into some issues. But I'm so thankful that God blessed me with a huge, amazing, supportive family, because that's really hard to come by. When I observed observe other people and their families and their family drama and their family issues. I can't relate to that because my family has always been supportive, loving, and we've always that's just kind of how we were raised to be there for each other and to look out for each other. So please give me today. Not only is my throat scratchy, but today is kind of heavy for me. But I still wanted to get on here and share some information with you all. I have a lot to share, so I'll go ahead and get started. First off, I've been away on vacation. I get back from vacation and I catch myself up on the tax news because when I disconnect, I completely disconnect. I was informed yesterday, and I read some press releases yesterday, that the Internal Revenue Service has pulled employees from their IT department and from their HR. HR is human resources, and IT is information technology, for those that don't know what those abbreviations are for. But they have pulled unqualified employees from other departments to work frontline, answering calls from taxpayers and tax professionals to assist. And they don't know what the hell they are doing. They have not been trained. And I'm like, is this real? Like this whole 2026 is, I don't know. It's just like, it's where's Ashton? Somebody gonna jump out like we're getting punked. The Internal Revenue Service is in shambles right now. When I tell yesterday, I held on hold for hours, and I use NQ. NQ is a service that you can pay for. You can pay a monthly fee to kind of skip the line, jump the line. If somebody's waiting on hold, if you go through NQ, you're supposed to be able to cut down your hold time tremendously. Well, my whole time was still over 30 minutes yesterday, and that was using NQ. So I finally asked the representative because I called for something very simple, like I was requesting transcripts. So if you don't know how to send transcripts to my inbox, then something ain't right. And I just asked her, I was like, ma'am, are you new? Because I had to kind of walk her through what she should be doing and what she can give me and what she can't give me. Like, because I know I do this every day. And I finally asked, I'm like, ma'am, are you new? And she was like, well, I'm new to this, but I'm not new to the Internal Revenue Service. And she started sharing with me. And then after I hung up, I started doing some research and I was like, oh my God. And I saw these press releases sharing that information about the HR and the IT people are answering customer service lines. No training, y'all. The training is, they won't get training until next week. I think it said on the 23rd. The 23rd, I think, is on Monday. So if you call the Internal Revenue Service and you don't know tax law, or if you are really dependent on them to give you some information that you need, I would highly recommend you contact your tax professional or your CPA or your enroll agent. I would go through them because calling the IRS right now is kind of like talking to a 2-year-old. They don't know what the hell is going on. You might get lucky and get somebody with some experience, but I don't know, because I called a few times and nobody that I talked to knew what the hell they were doing. Normally, I could tell when somebody is new. I'll just hang up and call right back. But I did that a few times yesterday, and I got absolutely nowhere. So please say a prayer for your girl today, that I'm able to get some things accomplished today, because yesterday was horrible. The Internal Revenue Service is in shambles. So I wanted to share that with you all. The whole times are, of course, it's high because it's during tax season, but it's higher than normal because they have people on the phones that don't know what they're doing. They're not trained. They were thrown on the phones and they're using whatever resources that they were given to try to figure out how to help you because they don't know how. And it's unbelievable. I also wanted to share some I got an email yesterday that was very interesting, and I wanted to share it with you all. It talked about the common tax returns mistakes that you need to avoid. Give me 1 second. Elena, I hope I said your name correct. Elena said, I got a few calls to make today. Let me pat on this additional baby. Listen, you're going to have to need more than patience. Like, first of all, you're going to have patience to hold. And if you don't have NQ, you really finna hold. I also tried the callback feature yesterday. I was like, well, they told me I was gonna be on hold 30 to 45 minutes. And they also gave me the option to receive a callback. So I was like, let me see what this callback feature talking about. Absolutely not. Don't even do it. It's the intention for it is great because I received a few text messages, and the text messages, let me read you one of the text messages that I received. Once they get it working, I think it'll be a great tool. So first you'll receive a message saying you opted in for messages. The IRS will call you from, and it gives you a number that the Internal Revenue Service will give you a call back on. And of course, it has an opt-out feature at the bottom of the message. And then it sends you another text message, and the second text message says, just a reminder that the IRS will be calling you back shortly. And so they send you a few update text messages, and they actually called me back, but when they called me back, it sounded like somebody was just pressing, you know how it sounds if somebody pressing a dial, like if they're pressing numbers, you can hear it. It sounded like that. And I was like, well, maybe it's somebody trying to get set up. So I sat my crazy ass on the phone for about a minute, praying that it was somebody trying to get set up and get together and we was going to get on with the call. Well, that never happened. So I wasted 45 minutes of my time waiting on them to call me back when I could have just hung up and called back and got whatever I needed. Y'all, the IRS is just, it's a mess right now. So good luck to you, Elena. I hope that you're able to get something accomplished today because yesterday was horrible for me. Good morning, Crystal. How are you, darling? All right, so the common tax returns mistakes to avoid. I received this email yesterday and I wanted to share it with you all. Filing too soon. So most tax documents should have been received by now. And if you haven't received all your tax documents like your W-2s and your 1098s or your 1095A, if you had the marketplace insurance, or if you are missing a W-2, your tax preparer should be knowledgeable enough to get all your income information, all the information that you need to file your taxes. They should be able to get that information from your transcripts. If they don't know what a transcript is, you might need to find another tax preparer because I just don't know about that. So if you file too soon, which some people always do, they think that because they work a job 2 or 3 days that they don't have to file that W-2. Well, you do. Even if you only made $100, you still have to wait until you receive that W-2, because if you don't, what happens is every dollar that you make at the beginning of the year or at the end of the year, that employer has to report all your income that you made to the Internal Revenue Service. So they have to send you a W-2 and they have to report your income to the Internal Revenue Service. So the Internal Revenue Service already knows how much money you made. So let's say that you made $100,000 for the year on one job and you made $100 on a second job. you trying to get that little loan, that advance. So you think that you don't need to wait on that $100 W-2, and you go ahead and you file. Well, your return is going to be flagged and it's going to hold you up because you didn't report all your income, and what you reported, it doesn't match the Internal Revenue Service's records. So anytime what you file, anytime that doesn't match what the Internal Revenue Service has in their system, your return is flagged. And it's a delay. So I know some of y'all might need y'all money, or you might need a loan, you might need an advance. So you're trying to hurry up and file. Wait, either wait until you receive that second W-2, or let your tax preparer know that your transcripts are now available. They can pull your wage and income transcripts, and they can get all your job information from every employer that you worked with last year. If you go ahead and file without that second W-2, you are going to receive a CP 2000 letter in the mail saying, hey, I got your $100,000 that you reported, but either you are trying to not report this $100, or you forgot about it. If you forgot about it, okay, cool. I'm giving you the opportunity to add it to your tax return. But now your tax return is no longer in the electronic system. Now somebody manually has to handle it. And so now it's a delay. And just go back to the beginning of my live. If you call and you get somebody that don't have a clue what's going on, it could be something as little as you not reporting that $100. But if you get an agent that don't have a clue of what's going on, it's probably going to take you a long time to figure out what needs to happen to get your tax refund released. And that's why it's important that you go to someone that's very knowledgeable to do your taxes, to prepare your taxes, and stop trying to do it yourself. Stop doing the DIY. Leave TurboTax alone. Because when something happens with TurboTax, or if something happens with these other third parties tax softwares that you all are using trying to file your taxes on your own, you don't have any support to help you maneuver through or help you figure out what you need to do to get your refund released. And now you want to go and you want to call one of your friends that you know that are preparing taxes, and you're expecting them to help you. Why do y'all do that? Why do you expect someone to help you fix a mistake that you created trying to be cheap? So just do the right thing. Get somebody experienced to file your taxes. Another tax return mistake that you need to avoid is incorrect filing status. Oh, that's a big one. Hold on one second. I gotta hurry up because I see this phone and already started. Incorrect filing status. So if you are married, your filing status should not be head of household. If you are married, your filing status should not be single, unless you meet those special circumstances that I'm not going to get into today. If you are married legally, your filing status is either married filing jointly or married filing separately. Stop trying to split them children up between you and your husband. You get 2 kids and file head of household. Your husband get the other 2 kids and he file head of household. Y'all get separate addresses because y'all trying to get the max. Listen, the Internal Revenue Service has caught on to that. A lot of my audits is based on filing status. If you didn't know, now you know. So make sure you are selecting the correct filing status. Another tax return mistake to avoid is inaccurate information. So make sure that whoever is preparing your taxes, last year, A few of my audits was, and I didn't even know that this was a thing. I haven't prepared taxes in years, but still, I'm normally up to date on all the most recent scams. So last year, I had a few audits where taxpayers were audited because the tax preparer, they put the right income amount in that's in box 1 on the W2, but in box 2, the federal tax withheld on the real W2, it was blank. I'm gonna say that for a whole nother live. It was blank because that taxpayer went exempt the entire year. So they had absolutely no taxes taken out. Well, the tax preparer that filed the tax return, they put that the taxpayer had over let me see, they made over 6 figures, and so they put in box 2 that they made that they had over $20,000 withheld in federal taxes, and they did that so the person could get a large refund. Listen, anything that's added to your tax return, even if you pay someone else to do it, you are still signing off on that tax return, agreeing to everything that's on that tax return. So any fraudulent credit, any fraudulent deduction, anything fraudulent on that tax return, you are going to have to assume the responsibility, as well as your tax preparer. You cannot say, I did not know. Okay, so make sure that everything on the tax return is accurate. Good morning, Alana, baby. Listen, I love audits. Audits is my thing. Like, I absolutely love audits, and the things that I see, and like, I could just look at the tax return, and in my mind, I'm like, y'all know damn well that this was fraud. So yes, absolutely fraudulent. Okay, another mistake to avoid is misspelled names and missed social security numbers. So when I used to prepare taxes, I used to train my tax preparers that were working with me. I know that you probably have been preparing this taxpayer taxes for years. But sometimes people get married, and sometimes people do things and they don't update us. So to prevent a return from being rejected, it was mandatory in my office that you key in the social security number and the name based off the social security card. I get it. They are a prior year client, but they don't tell us everything. Clients don't tell us everything that they've done. They probably went and got married and was married for 2 days and don't know where that man at, but they done reported the name change to the Social Security office. They done did all kind of crazy shit that they ain't told us about. So to prevent rejections, I made sure that the name and the Social Security number, you had to have the Social Security card. Even if I already had the Social Security card on file, I still required it every year just to make sure that I had all the up-to-date information. Now, if they give you an old Social Security card with the name change, that didn't have the name update, then that's on them if the tax return was rejected. But I tried to do everything that I could on my end, and I tried to do all my due diligence to make sure that I didn't have any tax return rejections, because I hated rejections. All right, so make sure that you are doing your due diligence with the misspelled names as well. So if you have a client and their name has a suffix at the end, like a junior or a third, or a fourth or a fifth, if that is on that Social Security card, then it has to be added to the tax return the exact same way that is listed on the Social Security card. Now, yesterday, I had a new resolution client, and they had a suffix at the end of their name on their Social Security card, but on their tax return, the suffix wasn't on there. So I can't explain how that even got through without being rejected, but I just told him on all my information, you're going to see your suffix. And then for whatever reason, I have to get another POA because this one won't process because of the suffix. I just kind of gave them a heads up about that suffix. But even though I don't prepare taxes anymore, I still make sure that all my documents matches the Social Security card, because that can cause an issue with my POA being processed. Another thing, and this is a really big one, there are several new deductions and changes to certain credits for 2026. Taxpayers should make sure any deductions and credits are calculated correctly and the necessary documentation is provided. Now, there are quite a few credits that are being or have been abused and misused in the past. Two that I can think of off the top of my head is the household, that household credit. Y'all be cautious of that. Make sure if you add in a household to your client's tax return, or make sure if you see that, or if your tax preparer educate you or tell you that you qualify for that, make sure you do your own due diligence and make sure you ask questions, because if you do not qualify for it and it is on your tax return, it could be fraud. It could be a fraud indicator, because that was one of the dirty dozens that was talked about in New York at a criminal tax update conference that I attended in January. Also, the fuel tax credit. I know if you're a tax professional, you are aware of the abuse and the fraud with the fuel tax credit. There are even people teaching how to fraudulently use the fuel tax credit. Yes, they're teaching it publicly online, even though IRS criminal investigators are all up through all these different groups. They still don't have sense enough to not share this information publicly. Like, you cannot be that money hungry. You can't be that slow that you are publicly teaching people how to fraudulently file tax returns, but they're doing it. So be cautious about those credits and deductions that you're adding to your clients' tax returns. And clients, the taxpayers, remember, you are responsible for everything that's added to your tax return. So you can't. I mean, it's not easy for me to represent you and say, well, they didn't know. Well, when you sign it, you're saying that you agree to everything. I understand that you probably don't understand tax law, but you got to understand the credits and deductions that are being added to your tax return. Another one is, I have two more: unsigned tax return. So an unsigned tax return is considered an invalid tax return, believe it or not. If it's a joint tax return, both parties have to sign. The spouse has to sign, and the other spouse has to sign. So the husband and the wife has to sign the tax return. If this isn't on the list, but I'll give it to you because you need to know this. If you receive a tax return and you paid somebody to prepare that tax return, and you don't see a signature on the second page of that tax return from your tax preparer, you don't see your tax preparer P10, you don't see their office information, you don't see their name, and you see self-prepared, run. Do not let that person submit your tax return. Those are what we call ghost tax preparers. They are trying to do some kind of fraud. I'm just going to be real with you. If the fraud isn't on your return when you sign it, you better bet your ass that when you leave that office, they are either going to, one, add some fraudulent shit to your tax return to get you a larger refund so they can charge a bigger fee, or two, they are not qualified to prepare a tax return. They could have received a tax prepare injunction. That means that they did something and they are no longer qualified, or they are no longer allowed to do or prepare taxes. So just be cautious and make sure that, again, you get your full tax return, a copy of it. They are required. All tax preparers are required to give you your full tax return. And that does not mean mean that you only get page 1 and 2 of that 1040. No, you need to get all your schedules. You need to get copies of everything you signed. If you received the advance loan, there are other banking forms that you have to get, that you're supposed to get copies of. You shouldn't receive less than 15 to 20 pages of a full tax return. So if you're a tax preparer and you think that giving your client a copy of that 1040, if you think that that is a full tax return, that is not a full tax return. So make sure that you are knowledgeable about you are required to give your clients copies of those returns. Let me see, I got a few comments. Yep. People, please deal with a qualified tax professional. Yes. Like if y'all don't get anything else out of this live this morning, it is so much going on in the tax industry. I don't care if you only got one W-2. Please pay the little fees and let a reputable tax professional prepare your taxes. Because if you're audited, nothing has to be wrong with your tax return for you to be audited. It could just be a random audit. Random audits happens all the time. But if you don't have somebody to call on to help you with that audit, you're probably going to end up paying a lot more fees during that audit than you would have if you would have had a professional tax professional prepare that tax return for you. So I know that there are ways that taxpayers can prepare their own taxes, but because of all the different changes and you have to stay up to date with all these changes, if you prepare that tax return yourself, then you're assuming all responsibility. You can't say, well, I paid Susie to prepare my tax return because I didn't know. Now Susie ain't even in the picture. You're telling the IRS that you're aware of all the changes. You're up to date with all the new changes. And it is a lot of changes. I don't recommend you preparing your taxes yourself. If you don't know who to go to, there is a directory on the Internal Revenue Service's website. Go look at that directory, and they don't have to be licensed. All good tax professionals are not licensed. You can find a very good tax professional. I recommend you, it's highly recommended that you select a tax professional that is licensed. I recommend it because if something happens, then that person is licensed to represent you through that entire audit. If your tax preparer is not licensed, then there are limitations on what they can and cannot do. And I don't like limitations. And that's one of the reasons why I became licensed, because before I got licensed, there was only so much that I could do to help my clients during an audit. If that audit turned into collections or something else, I had to stop at that customer service revenue agent level. I could not deal with the revenue officer. It's a lot that you cannot do if you are not a licensed tax professional. All right. So Crystal says the IRS under this administration is making significant changes right now that's going to affect us later. Please use a qualified tax professional. Agreed. I agree with that, Crystal. So the last one that they listed is incorrect bank account information. Taxpayers who are owe a refund should choose direct deposit. This is the fastest way for them to get their money. However, taxpayers need to make sure they use the correct routing and account numbers on their tax return. Oh my God. That's the big one. When I prepared taxes, I did not allow a client to handwrite me their banking information because I learned my lesson from that. Even if I copy and paste what they gave me into the system, into their banking information, and they give me the incorrect routing number or the incorrect bank account number, it's going to delay the refund. Sometime, and this was back in the day when I was doing a lot of taxes. If you give your tax professional the wrong banking information, it's going to delay your refund. And you can't get mad at nobody but yourself. Tax preparers, don't allow them, require them to either give you a voided check, or they can go to their bank and get a printout. And that printout, if they can't get it online, that everybody should have online banking right now. If they cannot print out their routing and account number from their online banking account, require that they go into the bank to get it, because if you get that wrong, it's going to delay the client, and the client is going to start bad mouthing you to Susie, Mo, and everybody else about how you messed their taxes up and how they still waiting on their refund because you put the wrong shit on their tax return, you put the wrong banking information, when in reality they gave you the incorrect banking information. So to not have to go through any of that, use that and add that to your policies and procedures, for your office policies and procedures, if you don't already have it. So that is all I have for the common tax return mistakes to avoid. I got one more thing I want to share with you all before I log out. Let me see if I have any questions. Yeah, I don't have any questions. So yesterday I received an email about unemployment benefits fraud. Now, I knew that during COVID, there were people doing lots of unemployment fraud. People were going from state to state getting these unemployment benefits because it was a scam. It was one of the 100 scams that people came up with to make money during COVID. So I knew about that scam, but I did not know, and I don't know how long this has been going on, but now there is a thing that people are stealing people's personal information, their social security information, and they are filing fraudulently unemployment benefits. So if you get a letter in the mail from the unemployment office, from the Georgia Department of Labor, do not ignore that letter. Make sure, even if you think it's a scam, you still need to look into it, because that's a thing right now. Make sure that you contact the Georgia Department of Labor, because somebody probably have stolen your identity. It could be a case of identity theft. So another thing that you need to do is make sure all your credit files are locked. Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, make sure they're all locked. Another thing that you need to do, freeze it. You can put a freeze on it. If you don't, I have a freeze, and I monitor my stuff, because I've been through identity theft, and listen, it is not easy. It's kind of like having to start your entire life over again. And I don't wish that on anybody. Another thing that you can do is you can request, or you can log into your Internal Revenue Service online portal. You can set up an IRS PIN. So the person that have your social security number and all your identity information, you don't have to worry about them filing a fraudulent tax return, because if they're filing fraudulent unemployment benefits in your name, then they're probably going to try to file a fraudulent tax return in your name as well. So y'all be cautious with all these scams that's going on. It is a lot of them that are going on. Just be cautious and do your due diligence. All right, that is my time. I stayed on a little bit longer today because I had a lot more that I wanted to share with you. I think that all that information is very useful for taxpayers, and for tax preparers. So y'all have an amazing hump day. I am about to get my day started. Don't forget to be kind. You don't know what people are going through. today is very heavy for me. And if I cross somebody's path right now that is nasty or just rude and mean for no reason, I don't know which one of me they'll get today. So that's why y'all need to be cautious of what you say to people and how you treat people, because you just don't know what people are going through. You are so welcome, Crystal. I need to speak with you to see how things are going with you. I miss you all so much. I really do. All right, y'all. That's my time. Have an amazing Wednesday. Talk to y'all later. Peace.